So I first started watching British wrestling about 15 years ago. The one person who kind of made me proud to be a fan of British wrestling was a gentleman by the name of the Anarchist, Doug Williams. Recently, Doug has been kind of not very vocal, but there have been rumblings that this may be his final year in wrestling. The idea is, in this documentary, is to kind of find out a bit more about Doug. As a promoter and a wrestling fan, I don't want him to quit wrestling. I think that he still has a lot more to give. I know that he's on like a terrible losing streak of progress, and there have been a bunch of times where after the matches he's kind of insinuated that that's going to be it for him. So we're travelling to Worthing to see Premier Promotions, which is normally rounds-based, if you like, old-style World of Sport British wrestling, where Doug's wrestling tonight, to see firstly a different side of what he does outside of Progress, and also to talk to Doug about, well, Doug, basically.
You got in then?
Alright.
Yeah.
So, when did you first start working for Premier?
90, I want to say it was 98, but it might have been 97.
Right.
98, but it was Worthing was my first show. He used to be on the Pavilion Theatre on the pier.
I've done the Pavilion, yeah.
Which is, for me, that's the best Worthing venue.
Yeah. Where's the worst you've travelled to?
Well, I've done things like, I've been up to Glasgow and back in the same, day to do a show and things like that. Driving, you know what I mean? It's just
driving to Glasgow.
Yeah, driving to Glasgow, you do the show, don't you? And then you drive back the same night. Yeah. It's just ridiculous. And well, that's the sort of things you want to do. You do when you start out because you're passionate for it. And take every booking you can get, and you're not really considering the planning of everything. And I've got to be in this place this day, and the next day I've got to be in Plymouth, and then I'm going to be in, Norwich the next day. You just take the bookings and then you panic about it after.
Yeah, that's true. Say yes and worry about that.
As you get older, as you get to kind of, later on, you want to pick and choose a little bit more and make it a little bit easier on yourself. But, like injuries aside and that, obviously travel is probably one of the other main reasons I want to knock it on the head, because I don't enjoy the travelling anymore. Just do not enjoy it, Well, not paranoia, but I have this fear that I'm going to die in a car crash.
Where's that come from?
I don't know where it comes from, but I don't know if it's a slight control freak thing in me or something, but I just hate being a passenger in cars now.
Were you 17 when you decided you wanted to be a wrestler?
Oh, I was like 14 when I decided I wanted to be a wrestler. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, I was, we moved to Germany when I was 13. And I used to watch English stuff when I was a kid and all that sort of thing. We moved to Germany when I was 13, and my stepdad got like a satellite system, like one of the first Sky systems.
Analog Sky.
So we got all the early WWF stuff, like WrestleMania 2 and things like that. So it was like 1987, because they were kind of still a year behind with everything they showed.
Yeah, sure.
That made me a huge fan, and I came back to England and to do my exams when I was 15. But yeah, I kind of decided when I was in Germany that's what I wanted to do, Right. I was already good at judo, but I came back to England and really put a lot of effort into becoming.
Yeah, so I know about the judo thing. Cause that was when you were here. You started that, and then did you continue it in Germany?
Yeah, I started when I was 11 because there was a club at the school I was at in England.
Yeah.
And then I went to Germany. I stopped in Germany. I didn't do it in Germany.
Okay.
And when I came back, I just resumed. I went to a local club in Reading, and just started training again. Because in my mindset was that I needed to do something like that in order to become a professional wrestler.
Yeah.
So
were you kind of laying the groundwork?
Yeah, it's exactly why I started doing judo, is because I knew I needed to have something like that to be a professional wrestler.
Yeah.
I guess just reading on biographies and backgrounds of wrestlers and this and that, and interviews when they talk about the experiences of when they first went to the gym in Brixton that Dale Martins owned, and what happened to them, when you got turned over to see if you could take it and all that. In my head, I was like, I've got to be at least an Olympic level judo player. So, and then and then I saw the advert or the article in Wrestling Magazine for Andre's gym. So.
Do you remember your first session?
Yeah, I do actually. That's quite funny because he had Phil Powers there. And they did the old thing. I'll get in the ring, roll around with Phil, see how you do.
Yeah.
And he obviously told Phil to go
In.
take it to me, and I threw poor Phil all over the shop because obviously
Amazing.
you know what I mean. I was a British judo champion, so threw him all about. And Andre's like, oh, all right, I'll get in. And he got in and he just kind of smothered me because he weighed like 2 stone more than me.
Yeah.
Smothered me, taking me down, kept taking me down. And afterwards he's like, oh yeah, you're good.
You'll be all right.
Yeah, of course. Where's my £25 for the session? You know, so it's yeah, I remember it as and it was in a kind of industrial garage on a cliff top at Folkestone.
Right.
And I went, oh, where's the toilet? He goes, you're just out the door, go round and round. And he just took you around the back
Just
of the
around
garage.
the back
You're overcovered with weeds and, just, there you go.
Can you remember anybody who started training the same time as you?
Well, Phil Powers.
With the so people who are still working now?
Oh, right.
Anyone?
No, not really. Actually, literally nobody, as far as I know. No, because the guys like Johnny and Jody, they started 2 years after me, 95, 96. They started at Hammerlock. But there's no one from that initial class, that first summer when he opened, first time, who's really working now. I want to say it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate that a lot of the guys now never experience how it was. You know how it was then. They won't appreciate that when they work in front of 300 or 400 fans, that was a top class show. You know, if you're lucky, you get like a 600-700 fans or a 1PW style show. Yeah. But on the most part, you're working in front of 100 fans. If you're lucky, and it's going to be they'll be in social clubs or they'll be in kind of sleazy bars, or they'll be in community centres, or they'll be, you know what I mean, like traditional town hall settings. You know,
see, that's what I thought. That
people, it's a shame that there's a few of those. There's a flavour of those shows still about. Yeah. But not the scale that it used to be when I was younger. You know what I mean?
I've noticed though that at least they've got a proper ring bell, whereas we just have a button.
Oh dear. Ding ding.
It's much easier. John's in charge of that, as long as he's paying attention.
Right. At least you've got a ring bell. Now the shows I've gone to, they have nothing.
Really?
Where was I recently? I even one recently, they didn't have a ring bell. Terrible. Can't remember now. Even a hammer or a spanner against the ring post will do better than nothing, isn't it? You know?
Tricks of the trade. Oh, we're getting
ding, ding.
again.
Oh yeah. I don't know if you want to go to the back.
Yeah, should we go
check my?
Let's head around the back.
Check in with my girlfriend. I'm all right.
That is Doug Williams in action.
Yeah. It's got to be, well, it's early 2000s, 2003 I'd say.
Can you work out when it was by the gear?
Yeah, those boots are Japanese boots, so I'd say it's the first, probably after my first tour of Japan, second tour of Japan.
Was Noah your first tour?
Yeah, Noah, straight into Noah, yeah. Right. Yeah. My first tour for Noah was May 2003, so they're probably that's probably from the summer season straight after that.
You mentioned it before about the neck injury last year, the year before last?
What, when it occurred?
Yeah.
Well, to be honest with you, I think it goes back. It's a wear and tear issue, obviously, in one respect, but there's a couple of instances where I've landed high on my neck that probably, escalated the problem to a major injury level. Probably the first time I was aware of it, I did a tour of Canada in 2014, a 5-day tour, and I was wrestling a big guy, 7-foot guy, Brody Steele, every night. He'd give me a choke slam for the finish. I came back to that tour, the first time I went to the gym the first time, and I couldn't lift any weights at all. I had no strength in my arms whatsoever. So I was that was a red flag to me, panic stations. I had some tingling, you don't really think about it, because you get like little feelings all the time.
Yeah, sure, I mean...
So I went to the doctors, and they were like, oh, better get an MRI, had an MRI, discovered the ruptured discs, and that was it, really.
So it was ruptured discs?
Yeah, 2 ruptured discs, C6, C7, 2 vertebrae between those. And then I started a rehab program of that year, 14 and 15, just to get my strength back in the first instance, which happened. I got strength back. last year it hadn't deteriorated at all. But they said
once it deteriorates, does it stay at that level?
Yes.
It's not anything
it
that.
doesn't go.
Yeah, it's never right. Yeah.
But I've managed to stabilise it, so it wasn't any worse.
Okay.
2017, which was the deciding factor on whether I was going to have surgery or not last year.
Yeah. Okay.
And I was like, no, there's no point.
Yeah.
They said there's no point. You've got feeling, you've got strength in your arm. And so that's where we're at the moment.
So what about surgery? What happens next? Like, is that
once
something?
I've stopped, I'm going to have surgery and just have them fused.
Right. So it is fusion.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because the only way the discs can go down, and they're only going to deteriorate further eventually.
Yeah.
And there's still pressure on my nerve, which is why my hand's affected. Still got to take.
Is that a day-to-day thing?
Yeah, it's a day-to-day thing, and sometimes it's better, and sometimes it's worse. If the discs get inflamed and they put further pressure on the nerve, then I get shooting pains down my arm.
This is going to sound like a daft question, but
Yeah.
have you been told not to wrestle?
Actually, funnily enough, I was told that in 2014 on the initial diagnosis.
Right.
6 months later, when I went back and I got my strength back in the rehab, they said you're probably okay to carry on.
Okay.
Just take it easy. And to be honest with you, the surgeon has been all right with it the last couple of times.
Okay.
He said, but if there's any sign of deterioration, he said he recommend that we stop. Sometimes you take a step back and think, can't keep walking the tightrope much longer, you know, before.
And is that what it feels like?
Yeah, it does. It feels like every time I step in the ring, it's a heightened risk of injury from something that I would not even have thought about 10 years ago, even considered when getting in the ring.
You know, that's a really concerning thing to hear.
I've torn both rotator cuffs in my shoulders, so this one's very limited. This one's okay. But I re-injured this one recently, 2 weeks ago. Good. Yeah, it's nice, isn't it?
Good, that's good.
It also sounds so morbid, doesn't it? But you know,
well, no, because
I think
this is the thing. This is
these are all the considerations I have to take. You know, like I take into account now, and I have to balance that against my life outside the ring, and you know how much I enjoy that.
Let you go with your stuff.
Yeah,
Stuff to do.
probably got 100 routines you want to.
Hello, my darling. Can I get a purple foam finger, please? That's worth every penny. Well, always wanted a foam finger.
Always a funny moment.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's always weird. That second before you go out the door, you must have it, being a performer yourself on the stage, that moment just before the show starts and you're waiting in the wings.
Well,
here we go. See you out.
Hang on, that way.
I've probably watched Doug enter arenas and venues all around the UK hundreds of times, and it's incredible to still see the reaction that he gets after a 25-year career. Doug Williams was always the bastion of hope for British wrestling for me, or as my dad would have called it, he was a real man's man.
One of the things I've noticed is that Doug gets a really uncynical reaction from people. Because he's like a top superhero anyway, then there's like even cynical wrestling fans are like, I'm a cynical wrestling fan, but people kind of like have a huge amount of respect for him. Plus he still does really cool stuff. I literally stopped myself from going, go on, Doug, then a second ago, I'm doing this.
As the match went on, I couldn't help but notice more and more the rotator cuff problems that Doug was having.
I can't stop seeing now one arm always being raised higher than the other. mind that spot until I knew about, like, if you think about the amount of times that's happened, even in the last couple of years, since his neck trouble, like, that's madness. If you lose feeling in that hand, like,
Probably for the first time as an interviewer or a documentary maker, I found out that knowing too much about a wrestler's personal situation could completely change on how you think about wrestling as entertainment.
it's really, like, it's much harder to watch now knowing the list of injuries that Doug has.
There you go, look at that, I swear. The people can take that good of pictures of me.
I know the focus is the arm, but the arm's not what does it.
See?
Yeah, that wasn't as much fun as I thought it was going to be.
You as well, right?
Yeah.
Right, let's go with this rumble.
That's when you've got to think about it.
Guys,
Give me a moment to think, if you don't mind.
Oh, sure.
me too. Are you got it? You got a bag. Baddy. You can't all be baddies.
Yeah.
Come on, didn't go.
Sorry, I'm going to fix it.
I feel like it's tickets away to the library. Is that quite out of the way?
Well, my stamina's fine.
Is that
It's the body.
It's the more I learn about the injuries and you, and that was like, I said to Alan I was having fun in the interval and he bought a foam finger, and then all of a sudden it didn't, like, it wasn't so fun, I guess. But that's it's probably, I mean, what's my opinion compared to what's been done to you, you know?
Yeah, but you're a member of the audience, you're watching, your opinion does count, doesn't it?
Yeah, my opinion,
You
if
might
it was...
say, oh, I didn't pay to come in, but you're
If it
still
was...
watching it as a fan, aren't you? You know?
Yeah, if I was just watching as a fan, that would have been fine, I think. Yeah. Maybe that's sometimes why knowing too much doesn't help the entertainment so much. Right, I'm going to let you get on. Thanks, Chris.
Yeah, thank you. Cheers.